Hello everyone. Today I will present a study titled From Pun to Plot, Remembering and Forgetting in Story Listening versus List Learning. This research was conducted together with my colleague, Mr. Nobuyoshi Ae. He carried out the classroom experiment in Japan. This study examines how different kinds of method, story listening and list learning, affect vocabulary retention and forgetting among beginners. In Japan, students study English for many years, but still struggle to remember even basic words. This difficulty is not unique to Japan. It occurs in many parts of the world, especially where English is not related to their native language. When the learner's mother tongue is not related to English, memorizing new words becomes especially hard. The problem is not lack of effort. It's the type of method. Traditional list learning focuses on memorizing word lists, often with puns or mnemonics. These can produce short-term results but are easily forgotten. By contrast, story listening is a method that gives learners meaningful, comprehensible, and emotionally engaging input. This study compares the two approaches directly. One is pure optimal input. The other is conscious memorization. The theoretical foundation is the input hypothesis, which states that input is the cause of language acquisition, not output. From the very beginning, this idea included the essential conditions for acquisition, what we call pure optimal input. Pure optimal input means input that is comprehensible, compelling, rich in quality, and abundant in quantity, and non-targeted. Story listening operationalizes these principles through comprehension-aiding supplementation, both linguistic and non-linguistic support. They are drawings, facial expressions, gestures, paraphrasing, synonyms, definitions, and other expressions that make input optimal. The participants were Japanese 7th graders, ages 12 to 13. In the story listening condition, the story was told entirely in English with no translation, no drills, and no target word instruction. Comprehension was supported only through comprehension-aiding supplementation. The telling took 31 minutes, longer than planned, because the story was compelling but also complicated. From the story, 40 vocabulary items were selected for testing. In the list learning condition, students studied a list of 40 words taken from their textbook. They memorized the list for 20 minutes. Both sessions were tested in the same way. Students listened to the English words and wrote their Japanese meanings. Each condition included a pre-test, an immediate post-test, and a delayed post-test. The story listening condition words that pre-test was given 1 week before listening. Immediate post-test was given right after the story. The delayed post-test was given 2 weeks later. For the list learning condition, the pre-test was given immediately before memorization. Immediate post-test was given right after memorization. And the delayed post-test was given 1 week later. In this study, we intentionally made the story listening condition tougher than the list learning condition by giving the pre-test 1 week before the story and the delayed post-test 2 weeks later. In an earlier study with more experienced 7th graders, retention stayed high even after 2 to 4 weeks, around 0.20 to 0.21 words per minute. But the students in this study were much less experienced with story listening. They had listened to only 2 short stories before this experiment. So, we wanted to see whether vocabulary understood in one story listening session could still be remembered under these much more severe conditions. Both methods produced significant gains. However, compared to the story listening session, the words from the list learning session were forgotten much more quickly. They forgot 55% of what they learned from memorizing after 1 week. In contrast, with story listening, they forgot 29% after 2 weeks. In simple terms, list learning gives fast results. Story listening gives lasting results. You may remember Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve. What we remember from conscious memorization fades very quickly over time. Ebbinghaus used nonsense syllables, but for Japanese learners, English words can feel just as meaningless at first. Mnemonics can delay forgetting for a short time, but they are no match for story listening. Memorization is artificial and short-lived. Story listening turns what once felt like nonsense into something real and unforgettable. Neuroscientists explain that comprehension begins with perception. We first grasp meaning through sensation, what we see, hear, and feel. New information connects to those perceptual experiences, not to abstract definitions. In story listening, this happens naturally. Learners see drawings, hear tone and rhythm, and feel emotion. So, words attach to lived sensory impressions. Both methods improve test scores, but only story listening supports durable acquisition. List learning uses artificial meaning created by the learner's effort. Story listening provides natural meaning created by the story and the teacher's effort in using comprehension aiding supplementation to make input optimal for language acquisition. One relies on short-term recall, the other on true comprehension. By grounding instruction in pure optimal input, we can make language learning enjoyable and effective for every student. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.